Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Simply Connected podcast, your go-to spot for discovering new connections. On this week's episode, we get to chat with Sam, and we have a great conversation all about personal growth and what it means to get comfortable in our own skin. We talk about joys and bringing back the joys we felt as children into our adult lives. And we talk about the power of events in post-secondary education and the lasting impact they leave on students who get to attend them. It's a great episode, and we add a couple new songs to the Simply Connected playlist, so I can't wait for you to check it out. Hey Sam.
Hi Lauren.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks so much for joining me for another episode of the Simply Connected podcast.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited.
We are going to jump right in because it's the dreaded question that everyone hates talking about, but I feel like it really sets the stage for introducing our guest. And I'm going to ask you to tell me about yourself. Who is Samantha?
Oh gosh. I feel like all of your guests have kind of said the same thing, but they're all like, oh my gosh, how do I explain myself? How do I describe myself? I'm the same way. I was thinking about this when you invited me. I was like, how am I gonna sum it up? I feel like I've lived a lot of lives, but I would say, well, first of all, my name is Sam. I am 31, going on 32 years old. I'm very proud of my age. I think aging is a privilege, so I will always say that. I'm proud of my age, and getting older is a privilege, so... But yeah, in terms of who I am as a human, I work in education at an educational institution, the same one that you work at and a lot of your guests work at as well. And I work on the events team. So I specifically do events for students, which I love and I'm very passionate about. And then in my personal life, I'm married to my husband. We just had our 1-year wedding anniversary this October, but we've been together for over a decade now. And I have a dog. I love animals. I love dogs. I love nature. I love food. I love spending time with friends and family and people I love. I'm a pretty simple gal. Like, it doesn't take a lot to make me happy. Just friends, family, my dog, food, maybe wine.
Wine.
Yeah, wine.
Little homebody you are.
Yeah.
And I know this story, but I feel like listeners would love this story. Can you tell us how you and your husband met?
Yeah. So whenever I say this, people are always like, what do you mean you were on the road? But
every time I hear it, I'm still like, what?
We were on the street. We were literally on the street. We met each other on the street. I was that's the story. We met each other on the street. No, I was getting out of a cab, coming home from a bar with my then best friend, and he was doing the same. He was coming home from a bar with his friend, and we literally just ran into each other on the street. My friend knew him and his friend, they knew each other from high school, and he reached out the next day and was like, hey, what's your friend's number? Can you give it to me? And then, yeah, it's history.
It's history.
Yeah.
So 10 years.
10 years, yeah.
You don't hear that much anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a journey, but...
And you guys got married last October?
Last October, yeah.
How was that?
It was fantastic. I think back to the day and I'm like, I was just it was just such a smooth day. There was nothing that really went wrong, pardon me, but also I'm not a bridezilla and I'm very easygoing. So I'm sure there wasn't much that could have thrown off my day and my mood that day, but it went so smoothly. It was such a fantastic day. People flew in from out west, my family and Mike's family. Some of them live in New York and they flew in. And so it was just really, we just felt so blessed to be surrounded by so many people and so much love. And it was just, a fantastic day.
Yeah. And you guys did a lot of, I say a lot, but I think almost everything yourself.
Yeah.
And being an event planner that you are, I remember the space and the venue and the decorations and everything was just so tastefully done. And it was just so you and Mike. So
Thank you.
I can't believe you guys just celebrated 1 year. That's so
I
exciting.
know, it's going by so fast. Yeah.
And so thinking back to, I guess, little Sam growing up, what can you tell me about her? What was she like as a kid?
Yeah. So I think back to those years and I think back that was who I truly am and who I'm coming into again now, I feel recently. But I was just I was very outgoing. I was always a leader of if we had friends, I'd be I was kind of bossy. My mom would always call me bossy, but I don't think that's a negative word. But yeah, I was always very outgoing, very bossy, creative. I had my own gymnastics business where I would teach kids gymnastics because I love gymnastics. I had a really good childhood. Yeah. So I think back to those years and I'm like, that's who I like really am deep down. And I'm coming back around to that Sam in my older years now. But yeah, up until like 10 years old, I have really good childhood memories.
Mm. And you grew up in Winnipeg?
Yeah, I grew up in Winnipeg. I was born in Winnipeg. My biological father, he worked for IBM, so we moved around a lot. We moved between Winnipeg, Rochester, Minnesota in the States, and Ottawa. It was kind of like a triangle. We moved back and forth between the three cities a couple of times, but then we eventually landed in Ottawa. But yeah, I was born in Winnipeg.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I feel like I didn't know that about your biological father, but my grandfather, who you now know, worked for IBM almost all his life.
Yeah, he was telling me.
Yeah. Okay, you know.
I know.
You already know that story.
Yeah. Papa told me all about it.
So how old were you when you officially landed in Ottawa for good?
That was 2004, so 11.
11, okay.
Yeah,
and how was moving to a new city? Well, I guess you bounced around a bit, but how was moving to a new city at 11 and planting those roots?
Yeah, I was pretty used to it by that point because we had moved a lot. So I was very like, I could make friends easily. It wasn't an issue, and I was still young, so kids are always very welcoming in those years usually. But yeah, that kind of was the start of a lot of family trouble in my family. So like moving to Ottawa the first like 10 years was kind of a bad experience, but not because of the city, just because of family dynamics and stuff. But yeah, as a kid, like it was easy for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I feel like too, looking back, sometimes family dynamics can play a big role in who we become as we start to grow up and reflecting on not only our upbringing, but our bonds and our relationships with siblings and with parents and relatives and things like that. And you're a sibling. You have a brother.
Yep, I have a brother.
How is your relationship with your brother?
Good. Yeah, it's always been really good. Him and I have always been really close just because we've been through like so much together. And like there were years here and there where obviously like we had fights like siblings do. But yeah, him and I are very close. And yeah, I'm really grateful for my brother. I just feel so much like protection and love for him. And like, I've always been like that protector for him, and he's an adult now, but I'm very grateful for him and the human he is.
Younger brother, right?
Yeah. He's like a year younger. So we're like 22 months younger than me. So like, we're very close in age.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he's still here in Ottawa?
Yep. He's still here in Ottawa.
Okay. And do you guys see each other often?
Yeah. Like every weekend, mostly.
Aw.
Yeah.
I know you see your mom quite a bit. So it's nice that you guys still have that kind of like tight knit relationship, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for telling me a little bit about you.
Yeah.
Can you think of recently maybe both a high and a low in your life? And I guess it doesn't have to be recently, but a high and a low that that's been sticking with you the last little while.
I think for my low, it's kind of just been like a low time the past few months. Probably for many people around the world, just with like, I'm not going to get into politics, but just with the overall political, social climate of the world and everything going on, that's been really heavy and kind of threw me into a dark spot for a few weeks, but I am feeling better. But yeah, I would say that's been the biggest low as of late. Yeah.
Yeah. And then bring it back with a high.
Bring it back with a high. I'm like, ugh, that high. Oh, I've had a lot of highs. Despite the lows, but I would say the biggest high just this year, honestly, like I've experienced so much growth personally, and I've just like at 31 years old, I really feel like things are like clicking, kind of like, you know how they say your brain forms at 25 fully or whatever. I really feel like mine's like doing that now, and I don't know if that's because I was in fight or flight for so long from trauma or whatever, but I really feel like it's clicking for me. Like a lot of things are like clicking in my mind and like having breakthroughs too. And that's been like a huge high for me through these dark times too. It's just been like, I've just been like feeling really good personally. Like outwardly to the outward world, I'm like crying, sobbing, sad. But like inward, like towards myself, like I feel great.
You're like, damn.
So like, yeah, that's been a high for me, is like just like feeling really connected to myself, knowing what I want, feeling all like just my brain is like clicking and like just becoming like a fully formed adult.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think we've talked about it too. At least I know I've talked about it to you. Astrology, and we've talked about your chart a few times and things like that. And because there's like a 2-year age difference between us, I sometimes forget that you're coming out of your Saturn return. So in astrology, your Saturn return happens roughly every 30 years. And
Oh.
at that 30-year mark, you go into it, I'll reference the age of 30 for this, but you go into it 28, late 28 into your 29, 30, come out of it 31, 32.
Cool.
And in that time period, the world just like shakes you.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a reset in a way. So it's meant to shake up all the things that aren't serving you or that aren't working in your world and kind of bring you back to who Sam was at like 0 to 7 years old or whatever,
Yeah.
just reminding you of all those little things. So I think it's really neat that you referenced just now how you're finding joy in all the things that brought little Sam joy
Yeah.
all those years ago, and how coming out of your Saturn return right now, entering into your 32nd year, you're coming home to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, it really does feel like that. Like, I don't know what's been going on, but like I've really just been like, okay, I'm feeling the most like myself and like my child, like who I was like born as, like now than I ever have. And that's been like so healing. Just to be able to like feel that and like be like, okay, and this is what I've been wanting for years, and I'm finally like feeling that way, and like truly feeling like myself has been so freeing and so joyful for me, despite all the negatives and sadness in the world. Like, it's been really, really nice.
Oh, that's amazing. And so when you think of connection, coming home to yourself is a big one, right? It's connection to self.
Yeah.
When you look at the big idea of connection in general, what does connection mean to you?
Yeah, I was thinking about this really deeply, like trying to think of what to say, because I knew you'd ask.
Yeah. And I feel like there's a lot of similarities between people's answers, and there is overlap, right? Like there's
definitely.
one kind of Webster's definition of what connection is, but I feel like it resonates different with everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like for me, like when I think of connection, I feel like I automatically think of like people and relationships, but then when I think deeper about it, I'm like, well, I feel connected to a lot of things. Like, I'm not a religious person, but like nature to me is like religion, and like I feel really, really connected to that. And like my dog, I feel extremely connected to. Animals, I feel really connected to. So like when I think of connection, it's not just, it's beyond interpersonal relationships for me. And if I had to like sum it up with a word, it would be like purpose, because like all the things that I feel connected to, like friends, family, nature, my dog, whatever else it is, they all like give me purpose in my life and like make my life fulfilling and just like give it purpose. So I don't know, I guess a word, like I would use purpose to like describe it. And I feel like they're interchangeable too.
Yeah. And I love that you said that, because I haven't heard it that way before. But yeah, connection does give you purpose, whether it's like you said, connection to friends, family, work, projects, passion, animals. Like it brings you home to yourself and what makes you you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it's just so important to remember those ideas. And so with your definition of connection and purpose, how do you go about building connections in your everyday life?
Yeah. I feel like, again, like going back to how I've just been feeling really good internally, when I've been feeling really good internally, it's been easier for me to make connections. Like when I was in the trenches of like anxiety and depression and mental health struggles, like I wasn't reaching out for connections because I was so like internally down. But now that I'm feeling like really good in myself, and I've been able to like open up and make connections, and I feel like that comes with just being yourself too. People are more drawn to that. But yeah, like in terms of connections, I've been just putting myself out there way more. Stepping outside of my comfort zone is huge. Work as an adult, like you make a lot of connections at work. Personal, like that's where I've met my best friends. You, for example, like work is a huge place to make connections as an adult. It's not easy to make friends when you're an adult. So yeah, just like putting yourself out there, being your true self, connecting with your true self, because people are really drawn to that authenticity. And if you work with people every day, like leaning into those, if there's someone that you can make a connection with, you feel like you'd vibe with, like leaning into those connections are really important, because as an adult, there might not be a lot of other opportunities to do so.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like to work does allow you to build a lot of different types of connections, right? You have friendships or colleague relationships that stem into friendships, and then you have kind of peer-to-peer or those mentor relationships. And I guess we can approach it from a work standpoint, but when you think about maybe your current job or a previous job, has there been someone in the workplace that you've looked up to or you felt a connection with that you've carried with you?
Yeah, I would say Susan Bridmore. Yeah, she, like, we only worked together for like a year and a half, 2 years maybe, but yeah, she left a really lasting impression on me. She was such a great mentor, and yeah, she's just like inspired me in a lot of ways in my job, and she was great at her job and taught me a lot of things, but she was also just a great human and really aligned with like a lot of my values and morals, and I just felt like she was such a great connection. Yeah. And also you've been my number one connection at work that I made, and
Ever since that very first workshop.
Since that very first workshop. But yeah, like honestly, work as an adult like I find in my point of life right now is where I'm making the most connections.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like they're building blocks too to new opportunities.
Yeah.
And I love that you mentioned Susan, because there have been a couple guests on the show who have known Susan and have felt her presence in not only the workplace but in life in general. And thinking about Sue's kind of lasting impression, she's left a legacy.
Yeah, she really has.
With the people she's worked with and within her job. And it's funny that you said it, because I remember when we found out the news of her passing, another colleague of ours had said, I'm going to describe Susan the way she described everybody else. And that's just that they're a really good person, that they're a really good human.
Yeah.
And I think that just sums up Sue's connection to people and the mark that she left on you, but me as well, and everyone around her, that some connections just are almost instantaneous.
Yeah. And
those connections can't be broken.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what it was about Sue, but she was just such like her presence was just so like, I can't even put it into words, but like just having her around was like so like calming and reassuring, and like she was just so down to earth and like just so like relatable and just kind and just a really good human. And yeah, she's left a really lasting impression on me and lots of people. So
I think that's the consensus. Yeah. Consensus for Sue.
Yeah, definitely the consensus for Sue.
And so staying on the theme of connection for just a little bit longer, with the connections that you have in the workplace and with the friends that you've made perhaps here and in other jobs and to family and things like that, how do you go about making sure you maintain those connections to make sure that they stay healthy, but also that you stay happy and healthy?
Yeah, definitely. I think we're really lucky in this day and age, lucky, but also unlucky to be like so digitally connected, like with social media, Instagram, like literally we're connected 24/7, and so that makes like connection and like keeping connections going easy, but even though it's easy, like it still takes work. And like, but yeah, like I don't know, I find for me at least, even just like sending a meme to a friend, or like a friend sending a meme to me, like you were thinking of me, you thought I would think this was funny, like that means a lot to me. And you know, with the times that we're in, people are busy, people are stressed, people are sad, people are going through it, and social media is like such a good way to just like maintain your connections, but like in an easy, accessible way. Mm-hmm. So like, yeah, I think social media is fantastic for that, but also obviously there's a lot of downsides to it. But yeah, just sending a meme to a friend can like really.
Sometimes I open my Instagram and I have like, I'm probably gonna exaggerate a little bit, but I'm also not, like 5 memes from you in the span of like 2 hours just waiting for me. And sometimes if I don't see them at all during the day and I open it at night, I was like, oh, okay, she was busy.
I'm like lying in bed scrolling through the memes you sent me, like kicking my feet, giggling like a little schoolboy, like having the best time of my life. Like that means so much to me when someone sees something, they're like, oh, Sam would like this, even if it's like the most dark, depraved thing. I'm like, yeah,
she gets it.
She gets it. You get me.
And so other than, okay, so social media you use for maintaining your relationships and you feel it reciprocated, how else do you make sure you look after yourself?
I I've realized I like eating good food is really a big one, because when I don't eat, like my mental health spirals. And again, things are just connecting in my brain now at 32 years old, but I'm like, oh, why am I feeling so sad today? Oh, I literally haven't eaten like a single thing today. All I've had is coffee. So like eating good food is like really important to me now. I'm trying to really incorporate that into my life more, like keeping a regular eating schedule. Although I just admitted earlier that I didn't even have breakfast today, but just like little things like self-care, that like drinking water. I know that sounds so cliche and so like overdone, but truly like this stuff helps and like makes me feel better. And I'm like, okay, they're on to something here.
Drinking water.
Drinking water and eating, they're on to something here, I'm telling you. But yeah, things like that. And then obviously you're maintaining like being active, going for walks in nature, doing things I love, hanging out with my dog. Like all those things are so important. And like letting that childhood joy that I am rediscovering again, letting that come out, like being silly and yeah, just laughing and not taking myself too seriously.
Do you see yourself wanting to perhaps pursue any of those childhood passions that you had as a kid in your adulthood?
Yeah, I've been looking into like dance class and stuff, because I was a competitive dancer when I was a kid. And I've been wanting to get into dance again, and horseback riding. I used to ride horses too, and I love horses. Yeah, I have been looking, but I just haven't done it because I think I'm scared.
Jump.
Yeah.
Jump. Both feet. Go for it.
Yeah.
I'll support you.
Okay.
I'll come to your dance competition and or horse show.
You'll be my number one fan.
Right? I'll bring the, maybe not like an air horn at a horse show. That could be dangerous.
Yeah,
but
I'm going to get thrown off.
At a dance competition, I think that'll fit right in.
Okay.
I mean, remember, it was this summer when you knew it and tried to teach us it, but when the Dallas Cowboys had their moment with Thunderstruck, you were just strutting that routine all over the place. Right now? Yeah, throw it down right there.
Let's go.
I don't remember it. No, but that's awesome. And I think it's so important to bring those childhood joys back into your life and to remember why you were so passionate about them. One thing my therapist made me do maybe last year, the year before, it was when we first met. It was like one of the first activities she made me do was like take a blank piece of paper and write down everything that brought me joy. And she's like, it can be as simple as your morning coffee or I don't know. It was just like anything and everything. And at the time I was like, well, how am I going to think of all these things? And she's like, it doesn't have to be in one sitting, but just like a couple times in the day or in the next few days, just sit down, and anytime something made you smile or whatever, write it down. And so when I had the next session with her, I brought the list, and she's like, what's on your list? And it was just like pages long of like I cherish my morning coffee. I cherish a sunny day. Yeah. I cherish the smell of a familiar candle. Like, I love when someone gives me a Hershey kiss. Like, it's all those little things. And I really try and remember all those things when it gets dark or when it gets like uncertain. Yeah. And you're like, there's nothing good. Like, things are so hard. And it's like, but when you piece together all these little things that bring you joy, there is so much to be happy about. Yeah,
definitely. It is about the little things, because like life is not, there's not like always these big moments in life. Like your regular day to day, like it's so important to find the little things that bring you joy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like you said, there isn't a big thing every day. Yes, there might be a trip you're looking forward to, or a milestone that you're hitting, like an anniversary or a work thing or whatever. But for the most part, you're just living life.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
If you can find those small moments in each day, whether again it's a phone call with a friend or laughing at a meme that just like hit home, it's really important to connect to those moments of joy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, fun question.
Ooh.
What brings you joy?
What brings me joy?
I mean, I feel like you've touched on a bunch of them already.
Yeah.
But is there something that you can think of that maybe you do every day, or maybe it's a ritual for you that just, when you're having a bad day, you can do this one thing and it'll at least turn it around a little bit?
Yeah, I would say definitely walking my dog. Like if I'm having a bad day or anything, just getting out, being active and being in nature, like the things it does to your brain is insane. Like I can literally be going from sobbing inside my house to going outside and being like, oh, things are all right. Like getting out in nature is I find so much joy in that. So I would say like the one thing every day that brings me joy, even if I'm like dreading it, once I actually get out and do it, like I am happy and enjoying it. So I would say like getting out and walking my dog.
Your dog is adorable.
Yeah, he is pretty cute.
What kind of dog do you have?
An Australian Shepherd Poodle. I try not to say Aussie Doodle because for some reason people don't like Aussie, or people don't like doodles.
Okay.
Yeah. So I try to say Australian Shepherd, lead with that part, and then say poodle.
Just the full name. You know when you're a kid and your mother yells Samantha instead of Sam?
Yeah.
You got to go in with the full breed.
Yeah.
And then what's his name?
Maple.
Maple.
Yeah.
He is an adorable dog.
Yeah, he's pretty cute.
And oh my gosh, I lost my train of thought. Maple was a pandemic dog.
He was, yeah.
And what made you and Mike decide that you were ready for a dog?
We used to live in Westboro in a little apartment. Nothing nice. When you think of Westboro, you're like, oh, you lived in
Bougie.
Westboro. No, it was a little dingy apartment.
Wasn't that $1.2 million house?
No, unfortunately not.
One day.
It was not that, but one day. But we used to live in Westboro, and we would always just walk around, and you know, rich people have really cute dogs, and we're always like, oh my god, look at these dogs. We can't wait to have one day. And like, we just would always dream of like having a really sweet dog and walking around. And then the Westboro also has very beautiful big mature trees, and we wanted to like name it something with nature because we both love nature and camping and that kind of stuff. And we're like, what can we name our future dog? And so we thought of the name Maple. We had that idea because we saw like we love these trees. We were so inspired by these trees. And then when we moved, we also moved into our house during our place that we currently live in. We moved there during the pandemic, and we're like, okay, we're getting a dog right now. So because our place in Westboro did not allow dogs, so as soon as we moved, we're like, we want this dog. So yeah, we just had been dreaming about it for years, and then we finally found a place where we get to have a dog.
And Maple came into the picture.
He did. Yeah, I gave birth to him. He's my son.
He's your fur
he
baby.
Looks like me.
He's your fur baby. I love it. And I love that you moved to a bigger house for Maple, so he had space to grow and to play and be free. But moving is a huge deal too, because I know Westboro and Hintonburg in that area was an area that you and Mike both loved, and you moved a little further east. What was it like, I guess, initially moving east?
Yeah, it was sad at first because we did really love Westboro and we want to eventually end up in that general area. But yeah, it was kind of sad at first because we didn't know the neighborhood. We didn't really know anyone. But the neighborhood that we moved into is like very community oriented, lots of green space. So it definitely was like, it did take time to grow to love it. But yeah, I was a little bit sad at first. I'm used to moving, but I don't know. When you really fall in love with a place, it's hard to leave it.
And I feel like too, Westboro and Hintonburg give such a sense of community and that feeling of togetherness. And not that the East End doesn't, but it's also more suburbia, right?
Yeah,
where
definitely.
Things are a little more spaced out. Maybe it's not the same vibe. And so when you think of connection and community, what does community look like to you?
Yeah. I would say community for me is, it doesn't have to be large. When I think of my community, I think of the people who are like consistently in my life and like through the ups and downs of my life are there. That's my community. So like my family, my really close friends, my work colleagues who I've grown really close with. But yeah, I would say it's just the people who are like consistently there and like who have your back through thick and thin.
Mm-hmm. And would you consider community to be one group, or would you consider it to be like different, like smaller groups?
Yeah, I would. Well, when I think more about it, you can have smaller groups of community in your life too. So I have my like immediate community, my like personal community who supports me through thick and thin. But then I have maybe another layer of community at work of my colleagues who I work with day to day, my work community. And then going past that, I have my neighborhood community that I live within. So I feel like there's layers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can have your really close, tight-knit group of community who you interact with on a daily basis. They know all the ins and outs of you and support you through everything. And then there's outer layers, you know?
Mm-hmm. I feel like I look at community like an onion almost.
Yes. Yeah. Like Shrek. Peel back the onion.
Right?
Yeah.
The onion analogy where it's just like, you have your core group who you know are there. through it all.
Yeah.
And then you have like kind of the layers that, they get to know you and support you and are just there, and you kind of keep building.
Yeah, that's a really good analogy, the onion.
As it grows out.
Yeah.
Shrek for the win.
Shrek, man.
Shrek for the win. And so
never let you down, Shrek.
Never let you down. When you think of community and bringing it back into the workplace and in your current role as in events for planning for students, when you look at the students coming into college and all that, it's neat because you get to see them at different levels of their education, I guess. You get to see the brand new ones coming in for their first semester, but then you also get to see the returning ones who are there for level 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe beyond, based on their education. What does it feel like when you get to see students through kind of all of those phases of their college journeys and getting to plan events for these people?
Yeah, I find it so rewarding. I just think back to my college experience. I had a great experience in college and university. It was like such a highlight of my life. And I think back like to those days, and I just want to impart that on the students that I work with. It's so rewarding. And I have a friend now who, the friend, who she started as a student, and then she started working at the institution and stuff, and then graduated. But yeah, it's just so rewarding to be able to give back and make the students their college experience fulfilling and exciting. And I didn't go to a lot of events when I was a college student, but it's so like I love the students who come to events. I feel like they're very engaged in their experience, and it's just it's just fulfilling. It just really fulfills me and really gives me so much gratitude and just like passion. Like I love working with youth, and I love like helping to shape their future career. People think it's just events, but it's more than events. It's giving them positive experiences. It's teaching them new skills. It's making community for them. Like it's not just the physical event. You're doing so much more than that, even if you don't realize it. And so it's just like really fulfilling.
And I think it's the small day-to-day interactions with them too, right? There's some students who I've seen at these events who come repeatedly over and over again, and they love the atmosphere, they love the events, they love meeting people. Like it's their form of connection, right? Like some of these students have moved to Ottawa, to Ontario from other countries, from other provinces, from other towns even, and they're looking for a sense of belonging and a sense of community within a bigger community. So to be able to give them that is just, it's got to feel so good. Yeah. And when you think about the events that you get to plan for them, you've planned many. Yeah. What's been your favorite one that you've got to plan so far?
Honestly, we did one a couple of weeks ago that might be one of my favorites. I don't know if it's my favorite, but it's one of the favorites that we've done. It was a silent disco, and it was just so fun and so cute. Like, I don't know, it was really good vibes. And people are, when you're in college, like just young, a lot of the times like you're self-conscious about yourself. I know I was. You're self-conscious. You're thinking about what other people are thinking of you. But I don't know, I just felt like when everyone had the headphones on, they were all just letting loose. No one was looking around, judging anyone. Like it was just really good, wholesome vibes. So I feel like that was one of my recent favorites, at least.
I love that. And I think back to the time when we did a silent disco.
Wait, we did? Oh, yes.
When we went to that conference. And I think it was, I don't know about you, but it was the first time I'd experienced it.
It was so fun.
And it was so fun, but I just remember being in the room and having the headphones on, and maybe was yours the same, where you could have different channels. So like you could change, so you could change the song. And I remember like looking in the room and everyone's headphone was like a different color. I think there was maybe 3 channels. So it was like blue, green, and red. And you could tell which channel people were on. But I remember being in the room and taking my headphones off at one point. Yeah. And it was just shoes squeaking on the floor.
Gosh, I know.
And heavy breathing. And I was just like, what is this?
It's like 2 different worlds. You like take them off. You're like, oh, okay, what's this? But then you put it on. You're like, this is fun.
It's like you're back in a rave.
Yeah, it's weird. But it was just really cute and wholesome. I want to go to another one because it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Do we even have those here?
I don't know. We have them at the college.
That's true.
So we could go to
just have our own.
Yeah, just have our own
silent disco.
Yeah.
Is there an event that you have coming up or that maybe is on your radar that you're looking forward to?
Well, for orientation coming up in January for the new semester, we're kind of doing a new format. So that's exciting. And I'm looking forward to see how that goes. It's the biggest event probably for each semester to start the orientation week and just kicks off the new semester. So we're trying a new format. So I'm really looking forward to see how that goes.
Yeah. And I think it's important too to try new things, right? I feel like things have been rinse and repeat for so long. And while like if it's good, like why change it? But I think it's also to remember like you don't want to get stuck in that like repetition of doing the same thing. And I think like students at least value change and current trends and whatnot. And so when you think about your growth in your job, because I know it's transitioned a lot for you over the last couple of years, what do you love about your job, and where do you see yourself going?
So I love the connections that I make in the community. I love that. I love working directly. Like I like being a forward-facing person to students, and I love making connections, and I love that part of it. I also really love, which I didn't think I would love, but I really love the public speaking aspect of it, which I used to really dislike and get really, really nervous for, but that's been a huge piece of growth. And honestly, it's contributed to a lot of like confidence growth in my personal life too. So I've kind of loved that part of the job, which I didn't expect it was going to be a part of it. But the public speaking part of it, I've really loved. The connection part of it, I've really loved. And I just see myself like taking those things and just going bigger. I don't know where that is yet, but I would love to stay in education. Again, I really like working with youth. I had a great college experience. I would love to continue in that same vein. And I would love to stay in events, but I know there's not a lot of opportunities right now for events. So I don't know, but I don't really have an answer of where I can see myself going, but I'm a very like flexible and dynamic person, and I'm pretty much open to anything. Like I'm open to a new challenge. I'm open to growth, and I'm feeling so good about myself that like I'm feeling the most confident that I ever have, that I'm like, I can really do anything at this point. I've overcome so much. I've battled so many demons. Like I can really do anything. And so I'm really just open to anything. And I just want to continue growing personally, professionally. And so I'm really open.
Mm-hmm. And that's important too, is just remaining open to growth, right? Like regardless of whatever changes that might occur, it's just remembering that I've done hard things. I've been through hard things. Mm-hmm. There will be more hard things, but not closing yourself off to new opportunities and new chances that might be coming down the pipeline for you. Yeah, absolutely. And so thinking about your experience, I guess, at the college and where you see yourself going in the future, you touched on Sue and the impression that she left on you from within this career. Is there someone else in your life that maybe you've crossed paths with who has left an impression on you, maybe unknowingly?
That's a great question. I would say, thinking back to my college experience, I did have a prof who has left an impression on me. It was really good at the time. Now there's been some things that maybe not so good, but at the time he left a really good impression on me and helped me in my career and in my education. So looking back on that, I'm grateful for his guidance, and he always he always believed in me when I didn't. Like I was going through a dark time then too. But he always thought he saw something in me that I didn't see, and so he gave me roles and pushed me, and I don't know. He just believed in me when I didn't really. And so I think to him often, and I'm like, okay, yeah, you were a mentor, and you helped me. You shaped my college experience and made it a good one.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people have touched on the fact that teachers, whether it's been high school or post-secondary, have left a lasting impression on them. And I feel like sometimes we forget how big of an impression teachers do leave on us.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And just even when I think back to, so a guest we had on a few weeks ago, we talked little bit more deeply about her high school experience and
Yeah.
what that looked like for her. And the fact that there was one, I think it was a PE teacher who kind of really took her under her wing
Yeah.
and helped propel her forward in school and in sport.
I was just listening to this episode.
Were you?
Yeah. So I know what you mean.
Yeah. So it was just a really good reminder. And then I think back to like my high school experience, and different because I wasn't athletic. I wasn't sporty. Like I didn't have, I guess, like an athletic crew, if that makes sense. I was a member of the outdoor club. So we went like rock climbing.
That's way more fun than sports.
Right? I mean, we went canoeing.
That's
like,
so
how
fun.
cool is that?
That's so fun.
But again, the teachers who led this group, there's 3 of them, just formed my high school experience. And I had them at different stages through high school. I think one was a shop teacher, and then one...
Were you in shop, Lauren?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I took all of the most random electives. I took shop class. I took woodworking. I took computer, like media on computer. Like I took the most random classes just because I was like, I don't know what I want to do.
Yeah, you had to try it. Yeah, you had to try it all out.
Hence the reason I joined the outdoor club, because I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go. Actually, we had one big trip as part of the outdoor club, and we went to climb the Rocky Mountains out west.
Did you? No
Yeah.
way.
So
that's cool.
I feel like I just did the most obscure high school things.
I feel like that's very fitting for you though. Even today, you're always up for anything.
Yeah, I feel like I'll try anything.
Yeah.
I was never like linear.
Yeah.
But I was never, like I say, I was never good at anything, but like I was never good at school. I was like mediocre.
Yeah, same.
I got school done, but like hated math, hated science.
Yeah.
But anyway, like, back to these 3 teachers, they were just the ones who were consecutively there.
Yeah.
And while we didn't like connect deeply or anything, they were just always, again, like, pushing me forward, like part of the outdoor club, or teaching me things in class, or teaching me how to drill a hole into like a birdhouse, like all those random skills. But as teachers and professors and educators just play such a huge part in who we become and how we enter the world and how we give back to the world, that I love that you just mentioned a prof or a teacher who you kind of reflect like that.
Yeah, and that's why I also love working in education, because like even though I'm not a teacher, that's a very hard job, and I commend teachers. They are amazing superheroes. But like even in the role now that I work and I'm forward facing and get to work with students, like I feel like we have kind of the same influence, maybe even a different influence, because we can be more personal and we're not like teaching them something. We can be more like peers. But that's why I just love working at an educational institution, because we really are like, it's not just about the events. We really are making like connections that'll last these students into their lifetime and like shaping them. And that's why it's so rewarding to me.
Well, and students remember you, because I've been at a few events on campus with you, and students are like, "Are you Sam?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh, don't tell her that. Her head's gonna get bigger."
I love that. I'm like, yes.
Where were we? We were somewhere like at the airport. We were at the airport.
Oh, yeah. We were leaving. Yeah. That guy. Yeah.
So we were at the airport, and of all places, I think your name was called or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, they had to check my passport.
Yeah, so that announcement thing that the people make, they called you to like the booth or whatever.
Yeah.
And you go up there, and this guy checks your passport, and he recognizes your name. And what does he say to you?
He was like, "Oh, I recognized you I saw you at the college one day," or something. And I was like, "What? Me? You saw me? Oh my gosh."
But it's just crazy to think that,
but
like,
that like
all
shows,
places.
Yeah, that shows like we really do make an impact. Like, yeah.
And then even all like the changes that you've touched on that you're making for the semesters going forward, but even like the video content that you're making, like even though you're not directly speaking to a student or a peer or whatever, you're making those connections to them, and then they see you in person, and then they think they can approach you and talk to you, and like kind of like they know you. And it's almost giving them that sense of security that they're like, oh, like this girl is talking to me about how to pay my tuition and how to get my books and things like that. But then she's also here doing the nitty gritty of setting up this paint station and putting up a chalkboard and doing all this. So it really, it's good for them to see you in both aspects.
Yeah, definitely.
And so when you think of the impression that you're leaving on students and peers and colleagues, what are you hoping that they're getting from that?
I hope that they're getting like, I hope that they're understanding. I hope that they're getting like kindness. I don't know. I live my life in a way that I think at the end of the day, the most important thing when I'm on my deathbed, what I want people to remember is that I was just a kind person. Like, money doesn't matter. Job status doesn't matter. How many friends I had doesn't matter. Literally nothing matters at the end of the day, except that you were kind and a good human. And so I hope that's like above all else. I don't care if they think, I mean, I say that, I do care. But like at the end of the day, I just want them to think of me as like a good person. That's really all. That's really all I care about. I mean, obviously I want them to think I'm good at my job and whatever, but the most important thing to me in life is just being a good person. And that's what I want them to remember me as.
And you're a good person.
Thank you.
You're a very good person.
Thank you.
Delivering that message to, I guess, your students and colleagues, how would you take that out into like the bigger picture, into the world of how do you want people to remember Sam?
I think like I can demonstrate that by my actions, and I think I do that by my actions, and that's why I like being a mentor to students and youth is really, I'm really passionate about. And yeah, like I just really want to live my life in a way where I just like, the world is already so dark and so sad, and there's so much going on at the end of the day, and I just want to be able to, on my deathbed, just be like, I was good, I was a good human, I treated people kindly, and really like that's all that matters to me at the end of the day. And so yeah, I like, that's why again I'm very passionate about my job, because I can impart that to students just through my actions, you know. Like I don't need to teach them to like be, I don't really need to like lecture them about being kind, but I can impart that through my actions and like welcoming them to our events and making them feel included and being generous where I can be. Like, yeah, I think through my actions is hugely important. But at the end of the day, yeah, I just want to feel like I've made someone's day a little better or made their life easier in any way that I can, you know, because the world is so hard and so cruel. So I don't need to add to that.
Yeah. And I think being kind too, like kindness goes a long way, right? When you think about
it goes a long way.
It goes a long way. And then you think about how much, not effort, but in a way effort it takes to be mean.
Yeah, it takes way more effort to be mean than to be kind.
Like I like to believe for the most part people are innately good. Like we were born good. Did we learn some bad or some mean or whatever tendencies? Maybe. But when I think about some people who are constantly negative or constantly hurting other people or constantly coming up with like off the cuff comments, and I get it, like we all have bad days, like sometimes things happen, like whatever, own up to it, apologize if you've done something wrong, if you've hurt the person, but just be kind. Be kind. And when you think about bringing kindness into the world, and that's what you want to, the message you want to give to people, how has social media impacted your view on kindness? I know you touched on social media and how it's a great tool to be connected, and I agree with sending memes and even just communicating with people. It's a great tool, but I feel like over the last couple of years, even coming out of the pandemic, social media can be a very negative spot. I mean, I've caught myself on there many times, like doom scrolling, and I have to check myself, like I have to turn it off. So how has social media affected, I guess, you and maybe your mental health?
Yeah, I do the same. I can get into a deep dark hole on social media, especially TikTok. Like once you watch one thing, it takes you down the rabbit hole, and then you're just like, how did I get here? But I find also what I love about social media is like it's expanded my worldview, and like I don't know, I've just like learned so much from it, especially TikTok, to be honest. Like I know that sounds crazy, but I've learned so much from TikTok, and like learned so much about other people, and like expanded my knowledge. And I don't know, I feel like it's such a great tool to just like learn more. Obviously you can again easily get sucked down a rabbit hole and into like a self-fulfilling kind of space, but I think it can be really positive in terms of expanding your mind, expanding your knowledge, expanding your empathy to more people if you can get on the right side of it, which, you know, it takes effort to make sure you're doing that. But yeah, I think it's like just taught me a lot and really like shown me like a lot of different viewpoints and different people and different cultures. And yeah, I think it can be a really great tool for just expanding your empathy and your knowledge and information, but also it can do the opposite. So you have to be very careful with it, and you have to be smart with it and intentional, because you can get into a deep dark hole easily.
Yeah, I feel like once you switch that algorithm, sometimes it takes you places.
I know, and then you can't get out.
No, I think we've talked about it before, but I think it was a few weeks ago I ended up on like the Appalachian Mountains and like the people who live there.
That's interesting though. I love that. I love that stuff.
How you can't go out after dark.
Don't go out after dark. They'll get you.
If you hear someone calling your name, no, you didn't. It's what's the rule in the Appalachian Mountains? It's like if you hear someone calling your name, no, you didn't.
Oh,
if you think someone's running after you, no, you didn't.
Yeah.
Like if you see someone on your doorstep, no, you didn't.
No, you didn't.
Like it's all like, no, you didn't.
I kind of want to go there. Do you want to go?
No.
No?
I'll go to like the base of the Appalachian Mountains. I will not go into the Appalachian Mountains.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I land in some of the most weirdest places on TikTok sometimes, and I look back and I'm like, how did I get here? Like I was in the Louisiana Bayou the other day, like looking at swamp people.
I know, it's so interesting though. Like, isn't that insane that we can literally like step into other people's lives that we would never get to experience before?
And you don't like, you said it exactly. Like, it's interesting because like there's no bayou here in Ottawa.
No,
like
I didn't even know like that existed.
Right. And it's just, they live like that. Like it's their normal life. And I just think well, I know nothing about it, and I know a bit more now thanks to TikTok, but it's just, that's how they live. Yeah. And it's like the same with like anywhere, the States or Europe or Australia. It's just like they share some things, and I'm just like, damn.
I know. I love watching the ones that are like in the Arctic. Mm-hmm. And it's like minus 65 degrees out today. Let's go to the store or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's just fascinating. Or it's like, so cool.
Is it Iceland or Alaska right now that's like has 24 hours of darkness?
Oh gosh, yeah.
And it's like 1:00 in the afternoon and it's pitch black out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's cloudy for 3 days in Ottawa, and I can't stand it.
And crying. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. It's just,
it's cool insane. Though.
And so TikTok, while a beautiful thing, and Instagram and Facebook, if people use Facebook still.
I do.
Yeah, I know you do. I know you do.
I'm liking your aunt's photos. I was gonna say,
every day. You're connected with my family on Facebook. I don't even. How do you think social media has impacted our ability to connect with people? Like, I feel like the age of being digital, it's hindered us a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I would agree with that. Definitely has hindered it. Yeah, and like that's something, I wonder if they've probably started studying this, but like with the pandemic and like having all the students online and like not being face to face with their friends, what that's done. I think it's been really detrimental. But yeah, I mean, there's obviously really great things about it, but in terms of like face to face connections, building those social skills, yeah, it's concerning. It can be really bad. So yeah, I think like for an adult with, reasoning and logic skills and someone who's able to like turn it off and think clearly outside of it, it can be great. But like for young people, it really does worry me. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Especially the people who grew up on it, right? Yeah. Like you see families and whatnot making TikTok videos with their young children. Yeah. And like, I'm guilty. Like, I watch them and I'm entertained while they're dancing or they're cooking or whatever it is they're doing. But then it's remembering that these children are 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. Yeah. And they grew up on this. Yeah, exactly. And it's like their whole life is out there for us to see. And I don't know. Sometimes I just feel lucky that I have a box of old cassette tapes that my mom made family videos on that aren't out there on the internet.
Yeah, I agree. And like thinking back to like when I was a teenager, how insecure I was, and like the poor young girls these days, and like going on TikTok and just being bombarded with all these beautiful people looking perfect with these perfect lives. Like what that would have done to my self-esteem, my already very low self-esteem, like would have been detrimental. Yeah. So yeah, it is very scary for young people. It is something.
I definitely think we got lucky growing up on that cusp of social media and internet, and still being part of a generation where we did play outside until the streetlights came on. Yeah. also had dial-up, but also as we moved through maybe later high school, college, university, we came into the social media era.
Yeah.
And I remember I think there was like a bonus mark on one of my tests where it was like, make a Twitter account, put your handle down, and you got like an extra one mark. And even now, again, I don't use Facebook often, but you get the memories that pop up.
Yeah.
And it was like, this was your status in 2012. And I'm like, oh my God, what was I thinking when I wrote this? I'm just like, I can never show this to the public.
So cringy.
It was like probably some song lyric or something. And I'm just like, no.
We thought we were so deep.
Right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, before we wrap up the episode today, we like to end. Yeah. Well, do you have anything else you want to add?
No, but I'm just
Any final comments?
I've enjoyed it. I don't want it to end yet.
We have a few questions.
Okay.
We like to end with some rapid fire.
Ooh, okay.
Just to get a little bit more.
Yep.
So what was the last TV show or movie that you watched?
Ooh, so I'm really into true crime.
Okay.
And there was a new docuseries that was added to Netflix recently about John Benet Ramsey. I don't know if you're familiar with that case. And I thought I knew everything about that case because I have listened to like all the podcasts and stuff, but it kind of looked at a different angle that I hadn't been aware of before. So I really loved that. So I highly recommend. I don't want to give too much away in case you do watch it, but if you like true crime, I highly recommend that. So I watched that recently, and then my mom and I started a new like Christmas movie with Lindsay Lohan in it, which I actually enjoyed, and I don't remember the name of it, but I want to finish watch. I'm going back to our house this weekend, so we're gonna watch the rest of it. Yeah.
Okay.
So
yeah,
I'll give you an update.
I can see the movie that you're talking about, and I feel like I just got like called. And Ryan's gonna get it for us.
Ryan can get it.
I got like that email from Netflix being like, new on Netflix, and I can see the box of it. And I remember that we watched
that one movie,
previous Lindsay Lohan one last year.
Yeah.
And he's got it.
Our Little Secret.
Yes. That's it, Ryan. Yeah.
When I first saw it, I thought it was like some kind of like, because the synopsis of the movie was kind of dark.
Yeah.
And Lindsay Lohan wasn't on the cover of like the email that I received. So I was like, ooh, what's this? I thought it was going to be like some like murder mystery. And then I saw it on Netflix and watched the trailer. I was like, oh.
Just another Lindsay Lohan flick.
Right.
She's having a comeback though.
She is.
I actually love Lindsay.
So
I'm happy for her.
Let me know how it is,
I will.
and I will put it on my list. I just watched Merry Gentlemen.
Oh.
The other one that's on Netflix right now with Chad Michael Murray.
Oh.
Yeah. It's like Magic Mike meets cheesy Hallmark movie.
Pardon me.
Yeah.
Say less.
Male dancers. So
say
you know
less.
What? Watch that with your mom after.
Oh gosh, my mom will love that. Don't tell her about that. She's gonna be like, put that on.
I'm gonna get on Facebook and message your mom.
Oh God.
Last book or podcast you listen to?
I don't read a lot. I should. I only read like when Mike and I go away on like a little vacation or whatever, but so I can't remember any books that I read recently, which is probably bad. I should read more. Get off TikTok. Read more.
Read a book.
I should.
How come when we've been on vacation you've never read a book?
Because the vacations we go on aren't very like reading.
No, you're just napping.
We need to go on a beach vacation, Lauren. Then I'll read. I'll read all day long if I'm on a beach with a drink.
All inclusive 2025.
Yeah, exactly. But the last podcast, yours.
Mine.
Yours was the last one I listened to.
Wow.
But aside from that, I listen to a lot of political podcasts. So like Pod Save the World, I listen to. Pod Save America, I listen to every day. A lot of political ones. Okay. And then occasionally like Call Her Daddy, I'll watch. True crime ones I'm very into. Kendall Ray. Not sure if you're familiar, but highly recommend Kendall Ray if you're into true crime. Listen to her every week. But yeah, mostly like
a theme here.
Yeah, politics, dark things.
I need to send you some cheery podcasts and movies.
Well, yours is pretty cheery.
Okay, fair
so
enough.
That's the one
Keep that at the top of your list.
Balance, baby.
What or who inspires you?
Honestly, I think like obviously I have people. My mom really inspires me. She's incredibly resilient. She's been through hell and back, and she's just a really good person. And yeah, she really inspires me. You inspire me a lot. You like taking the step to this podcast is hugely inspiring. It's not an easy feat and takes a lot of guts to do something like this. So you inspire me every day. Susan's inspired me, and I think I inspire myself. Like, I've overcome a lot, and I'm like really leaning into like, I love myself, and I'm not ashamed to say it. Like, I think I'm a cool person, and like, I inspire me.
You are a cool person.
And I'm proud of that, and I'm not ashamed to say that. But in terms of other people, like my mom, you, Susan, and just anyone who's kind and a good person in my life, like, I love people, and yeah, I agree. Most people are good deep down, and so I draw inspiration from a variety of people, but those would be my main ones.
And if you could give one piece of advice to your younger self, either personal or professional, what would it be?
Think before you react.
That's a good one.
Easier said than done, though, especially when you're a teenager or a young adult where everything is just emotion heavy. But think before you react, and maybe think about getting on meds earlier for your mental health. Like, maybe look into your mental health earlier and don't torture yourself for years and years. Like, reach out for help sooner. Yeah. So I think that would be think first and meds.
Yeah. That's important too. And like, I'm proud that you said that too, because there shouldn't be a stigma around it. And
no,
I know there's plenty of people in my life and in my circle who rely on that type of support. So
yeah, I would not be like here today saying I'm an inspiration to myself without meds. So, I mean, obviously person to person, get help from your doctor and talk to your doctor. It's not going to work for everyone, but truly, like, they are life-changing. They can be life-changing. So yeah, just get help if you need it. Don't be afraid, and get it as soon as you can.
Yeah, don't be afraid.
Reach out.
And if you could have dinner with one person, living or dead, who would it be?
Barack Obama.
Barack
Hussein Obama.
Okay, why?
I'm just obsessed with Obama. I think he's just the most amazing person ever. I'm just obsessed with him.
Yeah.
If he asked me to run away together tomorrow, bye Mike, bye Maple.
Okay. And what about Michelle?
Yeah, I love Michelle too, but Barack is my number one.
Just dinner with Barack.
Yeah. Okay. Alive, dead, I would say Heath Ledger. I love Heath Ledger. Oh my gosh, I have the biggest crush on Heath Ledger.
I love that. Good answers. Okay, and then finally we have the Simply Connected playlist on Spotify that we like to add songs to every now and again, but we always ask our guests what they're listening to. So if you could add a song to the Simply Connected playlist for our listeners to check out, what song do you want to add?
So I've been loving, women in general. I love women, but women in music lately have been absolutely insane. Like, I can't even think of one male artist right now who's like doing anything for me, but like, women are just dominating music right now. So, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed by the choices. But if I had to, I am going to add this song to the playlist. I'm going to say, I don't know if you're familiar, but it is called What You Know About Me.
By?
Oh shit. Okay, wait, can we pause for a second,
Ryan? He's got it.
Oh, I have your phone.
Oh, you have my phone.
I just took it away because there's making sounds over here.
I practiced this answer and I forget. Can we redo that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Do you want me to ask you the question again?
Yeah, ask it again. Okay. Ask it again.
And finally, we have the Simply Connected playlist that we like to ask our guests what they're listening to. So if you could add a song to the Simply Connected playlist, what song would it be?
So there's a lot of choices, but I think one that's kind of encapsulating like how I've been feeling lately, and like whenever I'm like feeling down or feeling sad or like just need like a hype moment, the song is called What You Know About Me by Glorilla and Sexy Red.
Glorilla.
Like
okay.
Like gorilla, but glow.
Okay.
Yeah, so add the L in there. By Glorilla and Sexy Red, and it's like a rap hip hop, but it's like, it just like, I don't know, it just kind of makes me like realize like, you're that bitch. Like, don't forget who you are. You're that bitch. I just find it like, I don't know, it just really feels empowering to me right now and kind of like encapsulates how I've been like feeling about myself. So yeah, I love that one. And then if I had to say something else, I would say like anything Ocean Alley. I'm obsessed with Ocean Alley.
Okay.
They're an Australian band and they're really good.
Okay. Is there like one song that...
Infinity.
Okay.
Yeah, Infinity by Ocean Alley.
We've been nice lately, and we've been giving people like
A couple.
songs.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we'll put both on there. But I love
Yay.
this because, I mean, I listen to all genres, but sometimes like I've never heard of either of these songs.
Yeah.
So I get to like dive into new music too with people who are listening. So
Yeah, I love
that's
that.
awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I want to say a huge thank you for joining me for an
That was
episode
so
tonight.
fun. I'm sad it's over.
I know. Well, we'll have to have you back. We'll have to have like a recap. Season 2. Where are
2.
they at now?
Yes.
But
Love that.
Thank you so much, and we will talk soon.
Thanks for having me, Lauren.